Hello everyone, Class 6, Chapter Body Movements, Part 2. In our last session, we have discussed about our skeletal system and we have discussed about joints, the four types of joints, and we have discussed what is joints and all. In this session, we will be focusing on bones, muscles, and the gaits of different animals. Now, first of all, what is bone? The hard thing. Whenever we touch our skin, we can feel something very hard, which is not flexible, right below our skin. That thing is called our bone. Bone is hard, strong, and non-flexible material. It forms the framework of our body. There is, in an adult human body, there is 206 bones which are present in various shapes and size depending upon their functions, and these bones are made up of calcium. Now various shapes, and the bonds are present in various shapes and each have a different function. Now first of all, if you're discussing about our backbone or rib cage. Rib cage means it is a like a box like structure that is actually connects the chest bones and our backbone. Now ribs actually forms like a cage like structure and is called as rib cage. Now it protects, as you can see here, the important parts of our body like the lungs, our heart are all protected inside this ribs. You can see here it is connected, it is formed like a box, and we can feel that while we are breathing in and breathing out, we can actually feel this rib cage. Now these ribs are actually connected to the backbone. As we can see here, this box like bonds, after bending they are connecting to the back part of our body, that is backbone. We are able to sit, stand, and all these functions are being we are able to do that functions because of this backbone present in our body. So importance of backbone is that because it provides supports to head. We can see here it is starting from our head, and and it is a point of attachment for the ribs. Actually all the ribs are attached to this backbone. And the next one is pelvic bone. Pelvic bone is the bone that is present in our, we have already discussed in the case of pelvic joint. So these are the place where we are able to sit and all. It encloses the portion of the body below our stomach, and this is where we used to sit. So rib cage, the backbone which is helpful in bending front and back, and bonds which join the chest and the backbone is called the ribs. Left and right we have 12 pairs total, and these bonds are connected to the backbone. Together they are forms a cage like structure, and they are called rib cage. Now we have skull here. Skull, as I already mentioned, is the bone. We have already discussed about skull in the section of fixed joint. So skull encloses the most important part of our body, which is our brain. The skull is the most hard and tough bone of our body, which protects our brain from any mechanical injuries. So these are the different types of bone, and they are have different shape and they do a different functions also. Now we will move on to yet another important topic, which is cartilage. Now cartilage is also an important component of our body. So we can feel like in our ear, in our nose and all, there is something hard present there, but they are not as hard as our bones that are present in some other parts of the body. These types of bones can be easily bent. Such that is also an example of cartilage. So cartilage is that type of bond which is flexible. Okay, so it is softer and it is more flexible than bone. They are semi transparent and elastic and flexible. Cartilage is also found between the joints of knee and hip. Not only there, cartilage are also present in some parts of the joints, like in the case of knees and hips. So it also are present, as already mentioned, ear and nose is there, and also as a covering of bones in the movable joints. Some joints, as already mentioned in the case of knees and hips, it maintains the shapes and flexibility of the organ and also supports the structure. So cartilage, the places where cartilage are present are, most important example is nose and our ear, which we can feel like it can be easily bent. Next is muscle. Together, this skeletal bones and muscles together helps us in the movement. Muscles. Muscles are a bundle of tissues which has the ability to contract, and this contraction of muscles is helpful for the movement in our body. Muscles have this speciality to contract. Because of this contraction, the movements of different places takes place. A joint, we can move. So a joint we already discussed, we can move, but how this movement is actually taking place? Because of muscles. So muscles is responsible for the movement of human body along with the places where we are able to move. The places are joints, and muscles is also responsible for the movement. So actually there are taking place two processes. One is contraction and the other one is relaxation. As I mentioned, the movement the contracting property of the muscle, that places, that regions in human body which exhibits the muscle movement. So we can, muscles actually, how does the muscle helps us in movement? Muscle actually work in pairs. When one of the muscle contract, the bone is pulled by the muscles in that direction. When that muscle is contracting, the bone is being pushed in that direction to move the bone in that direction. The other muscles in that time relaxes to move the bone in the opposite direction, that is in the previous direction. The relaxed muscle contracts to pull the bone towards its original position, while the first muscle, which earlier was being contracting, that muscle will actually relax. So here understand, the muscles can only pull, it cannot push. Thus two muscles have to work together to move a bone. First, when the one muscle is contracting, the bone is moving in that direction and the other muscle is relaxing. When the other muscle is being contracting, the bone is being moved back to its actual position and the first muscle is being relaxing. Okay, so contraction and relaxation of muscles actually takes place and which helps us in the movement. Now, do all the elements move because of both these muscles and bonds? That is not always the case. So let us study the movement or the movements exhibited by different types of animals. First one is earthworm. We are familiar with earthworm. Earthworm is commonly found in soil and they do not have bonds. They are, the body of an earthworm, as we can see, is made up of many rings joined end to end, and it doesn't have a bond. And here the muscles only helps to extend and shorten the body. So how does this earthworm move? Actually, earthworm first extend its front part of the body, keeping the back end or the rear end portion fixed to the ground. Then it fixes the front end and it releases the back end, and then it then shortens the body and pulls the back end forward. So this continues this forward and continuous movement, repeating such muscle expansion and contraction, the earthworm is actually moving. So that's how the earthworm move. So and the earthworm eats its way through the soil and extracts undigested material. They are also called as farmer's friend because of their movement in the soil. So in the case of earthworm, they do not have any bone and they only have muscles. Due to continuous contraction and relaxation of these muscles, the earthworm is actually able to move. Next one is snail. Snail, we can see here one shell is present there on the outer scale of the body. Actually they are not so hard, but it is somewhat hard. So snails are commonly found both in land or in soil, both on soil, and they actually move in a wavy manner. Okay, so and also we can, when we closely look at the snail, we can see that they exhibit a sticky substances which also helps to reduce the grip between the soil and the ground so that they can easily move through the soil. and actually they have shell there, but it is not that hard, and that is not made up of bone, and it doesn't also helps in their movement. Actually, the snail is moving, the wavy motion wavy actually we can see the wavy motion of the foot while we closely inspect our snail. Next is cockroach. We are familiar with cockroach. Most of our home have these cockroaches. So we can see here they can walk, they can fly, and all. Cockroach is an insect and is usually found in household. Is a common household pest. So cockroaches can walk, it can climb, and it can fly. Actually, the body is actually divided into three parts: the head part, thorax, and the abdomen part. They have three pairs of legs are present, which move the muscles present near its limb. Here we can see its picture. Here it can both fly, and it have legs also, so that it can walk. It can have wings, so that it can fly. So the body is covered with outer hard exoskeleton. It uses actually it is not as hard compared to our bone, but it is hard. It uses breast muscles, the muscles that are present on their chest, for the movement of wings. That is the muscle contact. So the wings comes together, and they relaxes and wings move. So that by that type of movement they are able to fly. Next is birds. Birds have bones which are very lightweight. They have shallow bones, or hollow bones. They are very light. Since they are lightweight, they are able to fly. So birds can fly, as we can see crow and all, can run, and can walk also, can pet. Some birds can also swim through the water. So we can find that not all birds can fly. So penguins and ostrich cannot fly. These are called flightless birds. The skeleton of the birds, as already mentioned, is hollow in order to reduce the weight, and so that they can float in the air. So here also the breastbone, the breast muscles are helping to move the wings up and down. Here actually the forelimbs or the front arms of the bird, the bony part of the forelimbs are actually modified as wings, and they are able to fly. The shoulder bones are so strong in order to support the wings, and the bones of the hind limbs, that is the back part, the other back part of the bones that helps us in their walking. Hind limbs are legs due to which they can jump, walk, or swim, as can be seen in ducks. Forelimbs of muscles are modified into wings due to which these can fly. Next is fishes. Fishes have a particular shape to the body which helps us for their easily movement through the body, which is called as streamlined. Actually, this body shape is helping them for their easy passage through the water. So actually the shape is center part is middle portion is thick, and the ends are actually somewhat thin. This type of shapes allows the fish to move easily in the water. We can see here actually the tail part of the fish will be bent toward, will move towards one end, and the during swimming the muscles that makes the front part of the body will curve to one side, and the tail part will swing towards the opposite side, as shown in the figure. Now the fish forms like is formed like a curve, as in the first figure. Now then quickly the body and tail will curve to the other side, in the opposite side. Head part will turn to the opposite side, and tail part to the other side. This makes a jerk. They will be pushed forward, and the body will be pushed forward. A series of such jerks, a series of such pushing forward, makes the fish swim ahead. This is helped by the fins of the tail have fins, as we can see here. The tip is particular shaped. So this continuous such series of this continuous jerks makes the fish to swim ahead. Okay, last is the snake. Snake always travel in a zigzag path. During its movement, they During its movement, snakes creates a curve in many loops. Already we can see the snakes always travel in curves in many loops, which pushes them to forward direction, and they move very fast, but not in a straight line motion created by snake. That is called as serpentine motion. So snake's body is also curves into many loops. Each loop of the snake gives it a forward push by pressing against the ground. Since its long body is making many loops and each loop gives it such forward push, the snake moves forward and very fast and not in a straight line. These are all the types of different movements of different animals. So in this session we have discussed about bones. Bones gives the framework of our body. Cartilage. Cartilages are present at the some places of the joint, and it also helps us in the movement. And the last one is muscles. Muscles works in pairs, and the continuous relaxation and contraction helps us in the movement. And we have discussed about different movements of different animals. Okay, so thank you.